Hello, everybody. Professor Roft, Chapter 2, The Evolution of Management Thought. I just want to give you a little bit of a historical backdrop. For thousands of years, human beings were involved with agriculture. There was no real heavy industry. Then all of a sudden, we had the burgeoning of technology in the late 1700s, known as the Industrial Revolution, which led to a massive explosion of technology and processes, which were overwhelming for people that were used to managing small groups. All of a sudden now you went from managing 2 or 3 people possibly on a farm to managing thousands of people in a factory. So this required management thought to help people deal with all the intricacies and all the difficulties that cropped up through this process. So the objectives for tonight is describe how the need to increase organizational efficiency and effectiveness has guided the evolution of management theory, explain the principles or the principle of job specialization and division of labor, and tell why the study of person-task relationships is central to the pursuit of increased efficiency, identify the principles of administration and organization that underlie effective organizations. We're going to trace the change in theories about how managers should behave to motivate and control employees, explain the contributions of management sciences to the efficient use of organizational resources, explain why the study of external environment and its impact on organization has become a central issue in management thought. If you look at the next slide, the scientific management time schedule, if you will, the continuum, you see scientific management in the early 1890s stretching all the way to organizational environment theory to current times. And we'll discuss the intricacies here. First, we'll start off with job specialization and the division of labor. We're going to be focusing on the ancient aspect, not so ancient, 18th century, but talk about Adam Smith, who was an 18th century economist. He observed that firms manufactured pins in one of two different ways. I'm not a pin expert, so we'll have to take the slide at face value. Smith found that the performance of factories in which workers specialized in only one or a few tasks was much greater than the performance of factories in which each worker performed all 18 pin-making tasks. I never realized the intricacies and how difficult it is to make pins. However, we see that when you specialize and you did one portion of the job, you became an expert at it and there were less mistakes. And of course, it took a quicker amount of time to create the pins. Time is money. Next slide, job specialization and the division of labor, process by which a division of labor occurs as different workers specialize in different tasks over time. We move on to the next slide and look at the somber-faced F.W. Taylor and scientific management, which is the systematic study of the relationships between people and tasks for the purpose of redesigning the work process to increase efficiency, cutting back on redundancy. Next slide, principles of scientific management. Number 1, study the way workers perform their tasks. Gather all the informal job knowledge that workers possess and experiment with ways of improving how tasks are performed. Codify the new methods of performing tasks into written rules and standard operating procedures so that others can refer to them. Number 3, next slide, carefully select employees who possess skills and abilities that match the needs of the task and train them to perform the task according to the established rules and procedures. Establish a fair or acceptable level of performance for a task, and then develop a pay system that provides a reward for performance above acceptable levels. Next slide. What are the problems with scientific management? Many workers experienced the reorganized work system, found that as the performance increased, as they put more of their heart and soul into the company, managers required that they do more work for the same pay. So you rewarded good work with more work and no other incentive. Scientific management brought many workers more hardship than gain, increased the speed, caused injuries on the job, and of course you had a distrust of managers who did not seem to care about workers' well-being. I hate to break it to you, many managers still don't care about their employees, and if not for labor laws, they'd be still doing the atrocities that took place back in the late 18 and early 1900s. The Galbraiths, cheaper by the dozen, if you will, a funny movie with Steve Martin. Analyze every individual action necessary to perform a particular task and break it into each of its component actions. Find better ways to perform each component action. Reorganize each of the component actions so that the action as a whole could be performed more efficiently at less cost in time and effort. Administrative management theory, administrative management, the study of how to create an organizational structure and control system that leads to high efficiency and effectiveness. Please refer to Chapter 1 to discuss the difference between efficiency and effectiveness. Max Weber, he is the father of what we know as administrative management theory. He developed the principles of bureaucracy. Now, we know that the word bureaucracy in our minds engender long lines, Department of Motor Vehicles, the court systems. But the bureaucracy was supposed to create a formal system of organization and administration which was designed solely to ensure efficiency and effectiveness. It was supposed to departmentalize things. Number one of the things that Weber speaks about is authority, the power to hold people accountable for their actions and to make decisions concerning the use of organizational resources. It's very important to have people accountable for their actions. If you don't have accountability, nothing will get done. If you look at figure 2.2, Weber outlines his principles of bureaucracy. Number one, formal authority derives from one's position inside the organization. When I walk into work, for example, I walk in to teach, I have my faculty badge on, I am a faculty member. That gives me the right to give people homework, to demand that they do a certain level of work. I'm not going to be asked to sit in the security guard seat and to check people's IDs. And the security guard is not going to come in and teach the class. Why? Because our authorities come from our formal position within the organization. Number two, individuals occupy positions because of their performance. Okay, in other words, you're not there because your father put you there or because you're a favorite of someone. You're there because you are the best person for the job. Principle 3, each individual's authority and responsibility are specified by the organization. Everybody knows where they're supposed to be. Principle 4, authority is exercised effectively when positions are arranged hierarchically, meaning from the top, from the leader, all the way down to people in the bottom. Principle 5, rules of the organization are followed and control individual behavior. Administrative management theory. Rules. What are rules? As we mentioned before, the term rules is a formal written instructions that specify actions to be taken under different circumstances to achieve specific goals. Standard operating procedures, SOPs, specific sets of written instructions about how to perform a certain aspect of a task. Norms in the next slide are unwritten informal codes of conduct that prescribe how people should act in particular situations and are considered important by most members of a group or an organization. Table 2.1, Fayol's principles of management. He believed in the division of labor, job specialization, and the division of labor should increase efficiency, especially if managers take steps to lessen workers' boredom, which is very, very important. Even though you have division of labor, always do it that you can switch people around, otherwise you get very bored and can become destructive. Authority and responsibility. Managers have the right to give orders and the power to exhort subordinates, to compel subordinates for obedience. Unity of command. An employee should receive orders only from one superior. It is the worst thing when you answer to 2 or 3 bosses. It leads to no good. I know this from experience. Been there, done that. Line of authority. The length of the chain of command that extends from the top to the bottom of an organization should be limited. Centralization. Authority should not be concentrated at the top of the chain of command. Because if you have one person who's only signing checks, if he or she is sick or away on vacation, you have a backlog. And then all the vendors are going to say, where's my money? Where's my money? Oh, sorry, the only person who signs check is on vacation, or he or she is sick, or we're looking for a new person to take over that position. It's not a good thing. Centralization, we mentioned. Unity of direction. The organization should have a single plan of action to guide managers and employees. It's very, very important to have that. Equity. All organizational members are entitled to be treated with justice and respect. Order. The arrangement of organizational positions should maximize the organizational efficiency and provide employees with satisfying career opportunities. People want to feel like they have a future. If they feel like it's a dead end, either they'll leave or they'll stay there but be destructive. Initiative. Managers should allow employees to be innovative and creative. Discipline. Managers need to create a workforce that strives to achieve organizational goals. Remuneration of personnel, a fancy way of saying that pay employees properly. System that managers use to reward employees should be equitable for both employees and the organization. And once people feel that they're being paid fairly and treated fairly, they will usually reciprocate in the same way. Stability of tenure of personnel. Long-term employees develop skills that can improve organizational efficiency. And to add to that, you want to feel that you have stability in the organization, that they're not going to turn around one day and say, okay, we don't need you anymore. If you always have to look behind your back and say, oh gosh, somebody's coming after me, it's going to lead to no good. Subordination of individual interest to the common interest. Employees should understand how their performance affects the performance of the whole organization. Esprit de corps. Managers should encourage the development of shared feelings of camaraderie, comradeship, enthusiasm, or devotion to a common cause. Behavioral management theory. Behavioral management is the study of how managers should personally behave to motivate employees and encourage them to perform at high levels and be committed to the achievement of organizational goals. Behavioral management, further, was headed by Mary Parker Foley, concerned that Taylor ignored the human side of the organization. She suggested employees help in analyzing their jobs. If workers have relevant knowledge of the task, then they should be in control of the work process itself. The Hawthorne studies. The next part is the Hawthorne studies and human relations. I will do my best to find an appropriate YouTube video to kind of piggyback on this, because there's a lot to say on this, and it's outside the scope of a PowerPoint presentation. I would prefer to give you a YouTube video on it so you can watch it in its details. It's fascinating. So these were the studies of how characteristics of the work setting affect worker fatigue and performance at the Hawthorne Works of the Western Electric Company from 1924 to 1932. Worker productivity was measured at various levels of light illumination. In other words, they were trying to measure how much efficiency there would be at different levels of light illumination. And what they figured out was at the end was that because employees were interacting with their bosses and they realized their bosses were interested in them, employees worked harder. So they realized that there's a human element. It's not just how much can we get out of employees, how much can we get them to do the work more efficiently. It was more of an interaction between employees and managers. Hawthorne effect. Workers' performance affected by their attitudes about their managers. Human relations movement, a management approach that advocates the idea that supervisors should receive behavioral training to manage subordinates in ways that elicit their cooperation and increase their productivity. Continuing, behavior of managers and workers in the work setting is as important in explaining the level of performance as the technical aspects of the task. Behavior is as important as the job itself. This is mind-blowing. Demonstrates the importance of understanding how the feelings, thoughts, and behavior of work group members and managers affect performance. This is the evolution or the forward jump into modern management thought, that people count and you have to motivate people. This is something that eluded people for so many years. And even in today's quote-unquote modern society, many managers forget this. Continuing, slide 505 of the Hawthorne Studies Human Relations. Informal organization is the system of behavioral rules and norms that emerge in a group. Organizational behavior, the study of the factors that have an impact of how individuals and groups respond to and act in organizations. Now we're going to talk about something by Douglas McGregor, Theory X and Theory Y. These are assumptions, two different assumptions as to how people behave at work. Theory X is a set of negative assumptions about employees that leads to the conclusion that a manager's task is to supervise employees closely and control their behavior, because you just can't trust them. They're too untrustworthy. They're too stupid many times. They're too dumb to do their jobs. I have to sit on top of them. They're too stupid. Sorry, if somebody is that inept, why did you hire them? You're the stupid one then. If you need to hire employees and you need to sit on top of them and make sure they do their work, they're not the right employee for the job. If you can't trust their employee, you shouldn't have hired them, or you shouldn't be the one in charge. Theory Y, a set of positive assumptions about employees that leads to the conclusion that a manager's task is to create a work setting that encourages commitment to organizational goals and provides opportunities for employees to be imaginative and to exercise initiative and self-direction. In other words, you give people enough rope to hang themselves with. I don't mean that in a literal sense. You give people room, you give them latitude, you give them the ability to breathe and make decisions for themselves so that they take accountability. Don't tell them to check their brain in at the door. Let them think. Let them make mistakes. Obviously monitor, don't let it go out of control, but let people do their thing. The next slide is basically rehashing the difference between Theory X and Theory Y. Theory X, again, the assumption is the average employee is lazy, dislikes work, and will try to do as little as possible. To ensure that employees work hard, managers should closely supervise employees. Managers should create strict work rules and implement a well-defined system of reward and punishment. It kind of sounds like you're in a jail, you're in a penal colony. Theory Y, employees are not inherently lazy. Given the chance, the right encouragement, employees will do what is good for the organization. To allow employees to work in the organization's interest, managers must create a work setting that provides opportunities for workers to exercise initiative and self-direction. Managers should decentralize authority to employees and make sure employees have the resources necessary to achieve organizational goals. If you don't give them the resources, you are to blame for the failures of the organization. We move on. Management science theory. Management science theory, contemporary approach to management that focuses on the use of rigorous quantitative techniques to help managers to make maximum use of organizational resources to produce goods and services. I do want to go back one slide. You'll see many times in the PowerPoint slides examples like Southwest Airline. This piggybacks on things within the book. There are certain YouTube links that you'll find throughout the PowerPoint presentations that you can click on. And it talks about Southwest leadership's, their theory Y culture as a driving force. This was inspired by CEO Herb Kellerman, who was very into visiting the employees and being together with employees. And of course, Southwest employees note how well Keller maintained an open door policy, which helped them feel very, very comfortable. We move on to more discussion on Theory Y. Theory Y, again, is a set of positive assumptions about employees that leads to the conclusion that a manager's task is to create a work setting that encourages commitment to organizational goals and provides opportunities for workers to be imaginative and to exercise initiative and self-direction. Again, that's Theory Y. Now, we discussed Theory X and Theory Y. I believe we did a good enough job at it. So let's move on. Management science theory, contemporary approach to management that focuses on the use of rigorous quantitative techniques to help managers make maximum use of organizational resources to produce goods and services. Quantitative management utilize mathematical technique like linear programming, modeling, simulation, and chaos theory. Operations management gives managers a set of techniques that they can use to analyze any aspect of an organization's production system to increase efficiency. The next slide, total quality management, otherwise known as TQM, focuses on analyzing an organization's input, conversion, and output activities to increase product quality. Management information systems give managers information about events occurring inside the organization as well as in its external environment, information that is vital for effective decision making. Next, organizational environment theory. Organizational environment is defined as the set of forces and conditions that operate beyond an organization's boundaries but affect a manager's ability to acquire and utilize resources, things that happen outside of his or her control. A shortage, a tsunami that hits an island like we had in Japan in 2010. Open system, a system that takes resources from external environment and transforms them into goods and services that are then sent back to that environment where they are bought by customers. The open system view, figure 2.4, the organization as an open system. You see, you have the input stage, which is raw materials, money and capital, human resources, which is the organization's ability to obtain from its environment. Then that leads into the environment, the conversion stage, machinery, computers, human skills. Organization transforms inputs and adds value to them. Output stage, goods and services. Organization releases outputs to its environment. And this is the system known as the open system. Let's discuss the various stages. The input stage in the open systems view is organizations acquire resources such as raw materials, money, and skilled employees to produce goods and services. Conversion stage, inputs are transformed into outputs of finished goods and services. Final stage is the output stage. Finished goods are released to the external environment for consumption. In a closed system, it's a system that is self-contained, that is not affected by the changes in its external environment, likely to experience entropy and lose its ability to control itself. Virtually impossible. In today's interconnected world, almost impossible. Synergy is the performance gains that result from the combined actions of individuals and departments, possibly only in an organized system. The next thing that we're going to talk about is contingency theory. Contingency theory is the idea that the organizational structures and control systems managers choose depend on, meaning they're contingent on characteristics of the external environment in which the organization operates. There's no one way to organize because everything depends on what happens in the external environment. The next slide, which is figure 2.5, is a depiction of the contingency theory of organizational design. So you have in the green box on the left characteristics of the environment, which leads into the blue box determining the design of an organization's structural control systems. So you either have a stable environment which chooses a mechanistic structure, centralized authority, vertical communication, very, very theory X-ish, or a theory Y organization, which is an organic, a changing environment chooses an organic structure, decentralized authority, horizontal communications as opposed to up and down, horizontal between levels, of the same level, cross-departmental cooperation, less lag time in process. Mechanistic structure, an organizational structure in which authority is centralized, tasks and rules are clearly specified, and employees are closely supervised. That's a theory X structure. Organic structure, as I said before, is more of a theory Y structure, an organizational structure in which authority is decentralized to middle and first-line managers, and tasks and roles are left ambiguous to encourage employees to cooperate and respond quickly to the unexpected. Then the next slide is a video case. This is what I mentioned before. So we had a quick discussion about Southwest. This is a video case about Hollywood labor unions. You can click on the link on top and watch it for yourselves and answer the questions. The rest of the slides are appendices, again, going over the slides in the beginning. This is a review of what we learned tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I look forward to future broadcasts. Good night.